Where's Jack?
Hey Ben.
Hello, Callum.
Guess what? You're a wanker.
Oh, the one with the poor man's Porsche. Or maybe that'll be the
I'm just economical. So welcome viewers to another episode of Carbon Garage. You'll notice that I am not wearing a leather jacket and I'm slightly more handsome today. It's all down to the fact that I am not your regular host, if you will.
I say the driving standard has dropped considerably.
It's dropped off a cliff.
Yeah, as much as I think this is a really nice car, I do think that the Boxster is overhyped a little bit in terms of just how good a driver's car it really is.
Oh, but it is a good driver's car though.
Well, I would.
It is. It's so planted in terms of like going through a corner. It feels stable.
But what you said there about not being comfortable to push the limits, like I always felt kind of the same with mine. And
well, there is an element of I can't ever figure out where the limit is because it grips so well that
But in contrast to something like an Elise or an MX-5 or even the TVR,
yeah,
you can push the limits more, and for me, that's what makes them better drivers' cars than the Boxster is. It's a controversial view because like every journalist ever really praises just
how good they.
Yeah,
I know.
And it does have an incredible amount of grip, and it is really nicely balanced. But
yeah, but maybe there is a little bit of me that thinks, well, maybe it's just a tad little bit. There's just not as much. Fizz or excitement, or maybe it's too predictable.
I've kind of always felt that.
But it's fun. It is fun to drive, though.
It is, and because it's got so much grip and so much power and such good brakes, you can push it very hard.
Yeah.
Without necessarily being actually a terribly good driver.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just never really felt it's quite deserved the rep it's got.
Yeah.
Not as a driver's car, as an overall spectacular sports car, yes. But
and it does put shame to the 911 in a sense, in terms of affordability versus excitement.
Because I think the average person will be much quicker driving this car on this road than they would be the likes of the TVR. But
But would they get as much fun out of it?
Well, they're not going to get as much fun, and they're going to, with a bit of practice, they'll be pushing the TVR's limits a lot more than they would be the limits of this. MX-5 would be a better one, or the Barth rather than the TVR.
Yeah.
Most people will just crash the TVR.
ABS was kicking in there. It's definitely not as grippy as it normally is. I can feel it in my foot. It's just, get that little tut pedal.
I never really liked the brakes on my Boxster either. It wasn't the nicest pedal. It didn't give the sort of confidence that...
It's fairly progressive though. It feels like you have to really push the pedal to get it to brake. And you think you're pushing it fairly hard, and then you think, oh no, I can push it a bit harder.
But there is a lot of pedal travel though. It's like
you're
not modulating through pressure, you're modulating through just like sheer movement of your foot.
Well, that's it, like properly down hard there. But I rarely ever do it hard. Yeah, so you asking about major work on this car.
Yes.
And I think
but then there was a corner and we had to stop.
Yeah. Track rod end has been replaced. Drop link. The alternator, but that wasn't really the car's fault. That was, like you said, probably the repair garage's fault. But repaired under warranty anyway, so no issues. New tyres, fine. I'm conscious that spark plugs won't be due. I think they were changed in 2015, so they may be needing to change. Or 2015 was it? I think 2015, so they'd need to change at their next annual service.
So I like how you're talking about major maintenance. You're like, oh, the spark plugs need done, and I'm just thinking, I had the TVR chassis replaced. Slightly polarized views of major maintenance here.
No, I mean, I'd imagine that the clutch, I don't think the clutch has ever been changed in this car, and the clutch is fine. And I think whoever owned it before didn't wear it out heavily, or it only done 38 when I picked it up, but the clutch has been fine since, I guess, the 40, so don't count. there's one tiny little thing that always sits in the back of my head. The IMS is there, and I think, you know, I've really enjoyed the driving experience. I've always gone and got the oil service done every year. People I've spoken to always know what to look out for in the oil, so it has me feeling fairly confident that it's fine. And it's a bigger problem than it is in terms of like scaremongering.
It's made out to be this really, really common thing, and I really don't think it is.
It's not. It's actually, you know, you
look online and you get the impression it's a case of when, not if.
Not if, yeah.
But yeah, I really don't think that's the case. Like, been involved mostly through my dad with multiple Porsche clubs for over a decade, and I don't think I know anybody firsthand with either a 996 or 7 or 86 or 87 that's had issues with IMS or RMS.
Yeah. You speak to any garage and they'll obviously tell you stories, because
some of them will, but even then, I'm not convinced they always have them. They'll be aware of them for sure, but
they are aware of them.
I really don't think it's anywhere near as common as it's made out to be. And I suspect that the biggest cause of it is cars that haven't been driven properly. And by that I mean both ones that tootle about at like 2,000 RPM all the time. Yeah,
they say that they need cars to be doing high revs to keep the oil flushed around the system properly.
I think that's a big part of it. And then I think the flip side is people who thrash their cars when they're cold.
Yeah.
And I think with each of those, particularly the latter, no one's ever going to admit to doing it.
Yeah.
So when someone's IMS goes, they're not going to say, yeah, but to be fair, I was hitting the rev limiter constantly when it was cold. No one's going to say that.
Yeah.
So that's never really going to, emerge as a firm cause.
Which overcorrected.
I do find a lot of people online will disagree with this, but traction control, in my experience, does as much to hinder as it ever does to help. And
controversial.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, especially whenever you see stuff on Reddit, whenever like someone does a burnout and crashes, everyone's like, "Oh my god, what were they thinking, turning their traction control off?"
Yeah.
And I think if you're genuinely got no expectation that a car might slide, it probably is better, because just your reaction time is slow enough that even if you knew the right thing to do, if you're completely not expecting it, the traction control probably does make a difference.
Definitely does, in my view.
But if you are expecting it, and that doesn't mean that you're trying to drift, it just means you're pushing hard and you're aware of what the car's doing. From my experience, I really don't like it. Like, it just causes cars to snap back so violently. Yeah. So you thought about something like a 350Z?
Yeah.
With a nice car. It's a car I thought about myself, actually, but then ended up then buying a Boxster instead of, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that, but I need to tell you my life story first.
Yeah, you think you don't, right? So what was it that pushed you away from a 350Z into the Boxster?
So it was actually one was the interior, and two, the fact that I could drive a convertible, and I decided a convertible could be a fun option in Scotland, and it definitely turned out to be. I thought the interior of the 350 felt a bit drab. It's very plasticky.
It's not bad though.
It's not bad. No, it's functional. It's got nice seats. Also, the boot space isn't the best. It's got a big bar, and if you're going to look at practicalities, actually, the Porsche, once I started reading up about it, and it's two boots. It's got a front boot and a back boot, and the engine sits behind us. It works really well, because I can stick my golf clubs in that one and put a couple of bags in the front one, and I'm good for sort of weekend trips, or say if I'm going to play golf and go to a friend's wedding at the same time. It definitely works. I think I'd still have a 350 at some point. It's like maybe it's the second car.
Yeah, it's a car that continues to tempt me quite a bit. There's one for sale reasonably local recently for £4,000.
That's a good price.
Yeah, and it wasn't immaculate, but it wasn't bad, and I was very, very tempted to go and see it. And it was one of these things I knew if I went to go and see it, I probably would buy it, because at the point of going to see it, my mind's kind of made up in that case.
Yeah. Really, would there not be something that you'd maybe walk away from if you saw it?
If it was a complete dog, for sure.
Yeah.
But kind of once I've made up my mind that I need another two-seat car, because you can't have too many of them.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, once I kind of made my mind up with that, it was kind of, you're going to test drive it more to make sure it's not a terrible car, rather than, trying to convince yourself.
Yeah.
I probably will buy one day. I think it's a very high chance.
Yeah.
They're going to be future classics as well, guaranteed. You buy one of them for £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 now, pretty much guaranteed 3, 4, 5 years time.
You're not going to lose money.
Yeah, you'll get at least a 20 or 30% return on it.
Yeah, yeah,
And a cool car to drive in the meantime.
yeah.
So is there anything with this car that you don't particularly like?
Ooh, good question.
I always find the gear shift to be a bit lackluster.
I like it.
It's cable operated and it just always felt a bit vague.
Yeah, it makes a nice noise sometimes.
The gear shift?
In the car park, I hear it vibrating off the walls. It goes clunk, clunk. It sounds almost a little, I don't know, feels nice and mechanical. It's got a fairly short throw as well.
Yeah. But your clunk clunk, that's coming from the gearbox itself, not from the horrific cable linkage.
No, true. Probably, yeah.
Because compared to something like an NX5, which, you know, it really is very, very precise, you can feel exactly what's going on with it.
Yeah.
It's always felt this was quite... It almost felt disconnected, and it's not a terribly quick gearbox. Like, there's some cars, and NX5 is a good example of it, where you can really just, like, you can change gear as quickly as you can move your hand.
Yeah.
Whereas this doesn't really let you do that. It's a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, fair enough. I prefer it over the Subaru's gearbox. Subaru's gearbox felt a little bit stiff. It had a very short throw as well, but this one feels a bit more fluid. I feel like I can get through the gears fairly well. So I like the gearbox. I don't have a problem with the gearbox.
So yeah, think about like driving dynamics, what it's like to drive, what the feel's like.
What, on the Braco road?
Yeah.
I'm not chatting about that on the Braco road. I've got to drive out on the Braco road. Yeah. When I get to the top, I'll talk about it on the top bit. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really work if you're like talking about like the handling when you're driving along a straight. So you see, viewers, we established earlier on that Callum can't talk and drive at the same time, which means that this part is just silent.
I can't talk and drive. I can do a little bit, but I just feel like I'm not concentrating anymore.
And you end up doing neither terribly well.